Victor Campenaerts set to use classified hub and monster chainring at opening weekend, a 62T chainring, narrow bars, classified gearing and wide tires are just part of his unusual classic setup. Cycling is a sport of tradition. The majority of riders tend to stick within unspoken boundaries, leaving the occasional maverick to push those norms. Victor Campenaerts is definitely someone who makes a habit of pushing those boundaries. For opening weekend, Cycling News understands the Belgian will be using a wild setup, which comprises a classified rear hub paired with an enormous 1x front chainring, extremely narrow bars, turned-in hoods, and wide tires. Anything that he sees as beneficial to performance is on the table, regardless of whether it'll get some funny looks in the bunch. An image captured at the team's recon ride in Belgium on Wednesday confirms our beliefs, too. A close-up of Victor Campenaerts riding a bike with a classified hub and massive chainring cast your mind back. It wasn't so long ago that skin suits in a road stage were borderline unthinkable, and tires above 23mm would be saved only for Paris-Roubaix. Campenaerts has been a pioneer of skin suits in the past, as well as leading the pack in terms of adopting narrow bars and having the hoods turned in, something we have seen more recently being adopted on Tadej Pogacar's bike and Remco Evenepoel's bike, to name just a few. Last year, we saw him opt for a 58T chainring for Dwars-door-Vlaanderen, allowing for some downhill attacks while his rivals span out, but this year it seems he's gone bigger again. While we can't count the teeth in the images here, Cycling News has seen the Belgian trialing a 62T chainring, only 2 teeth smaller than that used on Gunnesauer record bike. The monster 62T chainring up close, spotted at the team training camp in Calpe recently, image credit, Will Jones. The chainring looks to come from Alugier, opens a new tab, and is the largest that the brand manufactures. Yes, it's an enormous gear, but that's not the end of the story. It appears that this season the Belgian is opting to run a classified rear hub, the first time we've seen it in competition since UnoX trialed it at the Tour de Hungary last year. The classified power shift offers 2-speed hub gearing in a 1:1 and 1 minute and 0.686 seconds ratio, meaning Campenaerts is effectively running a 62/42.5 double setup, but with the advantages of a more aero 1x system, the efficiency gains of larger chainrings in terms of drivetrain resistance, and a lower risk of chain drop thanks to the K-Edge chain catcher. Campenaerts' recent Instagram story confirms that his chain is waxed too, using molten speed wax. Campenaerts' bars are rather narrow, and his hoods have been turned in 2 narrow bars with hoods turned in aren't groundbreaking anymore, though are still very much in evidence on the former hour record holder's bike. What is unusual is his choice of tires. These are the new Vittoria Corsa Pros, set up tubeless. So far, so normal, right? We've seen these new tires in the peloton already. We haven't seen anyone using them in these widths though. While it may change on race day, it's understood Campenaerts will run a 32mm rear and 30mm front setup. If you want a safe bet, you'd put your money on that being the widest in the peloton when the flag drops. There's no denying that the chainring is enormous, and although it's harder to tell, the cassette spacing looks to be the same as found on the classified cassette, and sources on the ground confirm our suspicions. Elsewhere on the bike, spec choice remains largely standard. The Ridley Noah Fast frame is the same disc brake aeroframe that the Belgian team has been riding since 2020. DT Swiss wheels came on board at the same time as Shimano at the start of 2022, and as such, it's expected he'll use the DT Swiss Arc 1100D cut wheels in their 60mm depth, as shown here. It's unlikely the team has too many wheels laced up with classified hubs, so we don't expect him to swap to the deeper 80mm wheels come the weekend. Shimano's top-tier groupset Dura-Ace D2 R9200 will provide the shifting and braking, and the left-hand shifter, which would otherwise control the front derailleur, is compatible with the add-on classified Bluetooth transmitter, which replaces the left bar end plug. Naturally, his bars are one-piece aero bars with cables hidden entirely from the wind, and if teammate Caleb Ewan's bike is anything to go by, this will come courtesy of Ridley, whose Canzo bar is compatible with various models in the range.